Let's say your offer was accepted, the purchase and sale agreement is signed, you got the mortgage commitment, and now what happens next is the closing. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about what to expect at the closing, who is present at the closing, what do I do at the closing, and should I be worried about the closing? This is Nune's Greater Boston Real Estate Show. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because every week I bring very important information for buyers and sellers in Boston and the surrounding towns. You will have the closing documents, closing disclosure, 3 days before the closing. This is very important for you because this is a new regulation, trade regulation, that consumers have the right to have 3 days to review the documents. So when you apply for a mortgage, you get loan estimate, which right now is pretty close to, they try to make it as close as possible to the closing documents, closing disclosure. Closing disclosure might be slightly different, so make sure you read everything. If you have questions, reach out to your attorney, to your real estate agent, and they will help you understand the closing disclosure. If you leave it until the closing date, your closing will take too long, and just be prepared. The closing disclosure outlines the mortgage payments, the closing costs, any additional fees, terms of the loan, everything is there. So that's kind of like your Bible, the closing Bible. So you should schedule a final walkthrough about 24 hours before the closing, or it can be the morning of the closing. You want to make sure that the house is still there. A hurricane didn't come and take the roof away, or no natural disasters happened, no flooding, nothing like that. And also that the seller has moved out and they brought with them whatever was agreed that they will take with them, and they didn't leave any extra stuff that you don't want. So anything that is weird, strange, or not what you agreed on, make sure that your real estate agent communicates with the attorney and those are straightened out. Also, if the seller agreed to do some repairs, I'm sure you will get invoices for those, but it's a good idea to check to make sure that the repairs were done. After you finish watching this video, make sure to stay until the end because I have a nice bonus for you. Then go to the next video, which talks about final walkthrough nightmares. So what do you need to bring to the closing? It's a photo ID, government issued photo ID. It could be a license or a passport. They want to identify that you are the right person, so nobody else is buying your house or doing it, signing the papers instead of you. Also a cashier's check or a certified check, for any closing costs or anything extra that you need to pay. But also, if you are doing a wire transfer, make sure that you get the wire transfer information on the phone. Don't ask for someone to send you the wire instructions over email. Who is present at the closing? Nowadays, COVID times, they don't want a lot of people in the office, so it's usually the closing attorney and the buyers. That's it. It used to be, I used to go to closings with my buyers. It was a happy day. I would bring them a gift, and I loved seeing the happy faces. That was my reward for the work well done. And a lot of times sellers and buyers would be across the table signing the papers, both attorneys and even lenders sometimes would make a visit. Right now, sellers usually sign a few days before and the buyers sign at the closing. Where do closings happen? Usually in the attorney's office or registry of deeds, or sometimes they come to your house to make it very convenient for you to sign the papers there. You also want to set up moving date, and you want to call the movers to set up those dates. Now, important thing, lately with COVID, sometimes the closings are delayed. Most often, recording might be delayed, especially if it's recorded land. It takes longer time, registered land, it takes longer time to record. I usually advise my buyers to schedule the move-in date a few days later. Even if they don't have to do any repairs, it's in move-in condition, still just give it some time for you to make sure that you will not be canceling the movers and then struggling to get a new move-in date. The sellers need to find suitable housing in order for them to move out, and in those cases sometimes they ask for use and occupancy, which means that after closing they will still stay in your house and either pay rent or they will stay for free. It's extreme seller's market right now in Boston and the surrounding towns. If you have the financial situation that you can afford to give them free use and occupancy, you should do that and give them more flexibility with the move out date. So now that you stretched your hand and are ready to sign for an hour, you are done. The closing is done. And after the property is recorded at the Registry of Deeds, you're given the keys. Do not go into the property before the recording is done. And then you celebrate. To download my closing checklist, the link is in the description box below, and watch my next video, which is about final walkthroughs.